Basically, before I start, okay, let me introduce about myself. But it was a good introduction from Vinod. But yeah, so this is a responsibility for me to just provide the information about myself. And I'm having a 13 years of experience in IT industry and having 10 years of experience in Sitecore. Yeah, so I'm a kind of a keen, passionate to learn and apply the stuffs on my own. And I wanted to really the implement in real time. So the my biggest positive is okay. I would not say no. So I just try everything to make it possible, and I hope that sharing the knowledge will improve our skills. So that's why I'm trying as much as I can. So in this session, okay, I'm going to cover maybe somebody is very familiar with it. Okay, somebody is new to it. So, but it's not a problem, okay, but we should not worry about whether it is a small or bigger thing, okay, just to share the knowledge, okay, that will definitely help us to improve our side. And one small quote, okay, I normally to start with, and here in this world, okay, don't feel free, shy to ask any silly questions, because there is no word called silly in this world, okay, when it comes to the questions, okay, so just be bold, and that will clarify our queries or something, okay, so that will the immediate solution for it. So that's how I believe, okay. This is a small code to start with it. Yeah, so agenda of this session is basically the thing. First, let me introduce about the layout service. Okay, before we pitched in with the layout service, I wanted to explore a little bit about the Sitecore headless development, because currently we are in the trend of Sitecore headless. Not only the Sitecore, so in the modern world, okay, everybody is moving towards the headless because of the lightweight applications and also the accessibility. So I'm just going to cover the just touching up the Sitecore headless development, and so what is the layout service, and what is the content resolver basically, and how to create the custom content resolver, and what is the GraphQL, why GraphQL which comes into the picture. And these things, okay, we are going to cover basically for this particular demo. Before I moving with the layout surveys, I just wanted to touch up the Sitecore headless development. Yeah, so Sitecore headless development basically we know. So it's a separation of a front end and back end. And we already know about the basics of the headless, and front end is a separate, it is a modern UI framework like Sitecore supports already the React JS, React, Angular, and Next.js, so Vue.js, and there are many front-end frameworks Sitecore supported, and Sitecore backend. So we know, okay, so it is running in the .NET, and so it is a separated, that is a Sitecore headless, because the separation means, okay, we have the something, the communication channel, right? Okay, communication point. That communication middleware is the API. This is kind of the API via implementation. So API is the communication from the backend to the front end, and the content will be stored in the backend, and the content will be fetched through the API, and the API will provide the data, and the data will be rendering in the front end by using any of the UI framework. So this is how the Sitecore headless works. And in Sitecore, normally provides two modes like a disconnected mode and the connected mode. We already covered this in many of the sessions, but I just wanted to touch up here. Disconnected mode is when we have a front-end developers and front-end developers, we don't have any Sitecore people in the back end. Okay, so that time what we can do is, okay, so we just pull any of the front-end developers to start work on the disconnected mode, which is without Sitecore, because the disconnected mode framework itself has provided some of the key YAML file and the import services, and disconnected service in the front end side will support all the Sitecore related stuffs in the front end itself. So this is how it is working. That's why it is without Sitecore I'm mentioning here, because no need of any Sitecore instances up and running. So instead of Sitecore instances, it works through the YAML file. And connected mode is once everything is ready in the disconnected mode, what we know is, okay, we can go and import all our changes, whatever we do in the template level or component level. So we just go and import and everything into the Sitecore, and then it will start from the connected mode. So which means, okay, connected mode, we need Sitecore instances up and running. So the Sitecore doesn't require any new component will be created, because the component already created in the disconnected mode. So that can be used by using the import services in the Sitecore side, and the connected mode will start working through the Sitecore. So how the connected mode works, I already explained that. Okay, that's through the API. So that the API means, okay, here the layout service. That's why we are going to focus more on this part, particularly the layout service part. So layer service, what is basically the layer service? Okay, since I already explained about the API layer is the communication point between the front end and the site core. So we know, okay, we have the Next.js application. Okay, let me open that. Yeah, so this is the Next.js, my local application I have. Okay, so in this Next.js application, see here, we have the components. Okay, in the front end. Okay, we have, this is the vanilla instance component, like content block, and this is my component. I created this for particular demo. Okay, demo component, which means, okay, we have to since I am using the Next.js framework here. Okay, we have to create the tsx file in the front end for all the components. Okay, these components will be replaced by the Sitecore component in the backend. So whichever component we created here, so for example, you take this demo content is the component, the same name component will be created in the Sitecore. So this should be sync. That's why this will work through the front end and the back end connect. So in the layout service, what it does means, okay, for layout service, I already told this is the API, which means, okay, we have the API key in the Sitecore. API key is the kind of the unique key which requires for all the data transfer from the backend to the front end. So I'll show that. This is my local Sitecore environment. Here we have Sitecore. Okay, this is mandatory. I think, okay, most of them working in the Sitecore Headless, okay, they will be very much familiar about it. Okay, I just explained. Okay, so we should not miss anything. So this item ID will be used across everywhere for the communication unique key. So this key is called the API key. This will be working for the layout services. So layout services, how it works? Okay, so that is the next question. Okay, layout services itself is the separate package, like, okay, Sitecore.layout services. Sitecore provided Sitecore.layout services package. Okay, then I'll show you that. This is my instance, Sitecore up and running instance. You go here, the app config, Sitecore, and layout service. So this layout service, okay, when I open this, okay, so Sitecore itself provided the layout service attribute. Okay, this layout service attribute have the configurations. So this configuration, normally what it does, okay, it is taking the name of default. Okay, and then the request context. The request context is everything is set as a default request context and default rendering configurations. And layout service content resolver, rendering content resolver. Why I am showing this is, okay, what is this content resolver? Next questions, okay, it will hit our mind, right? Okay, so somewhere there is a link between this layout service and the content resolver. So this is the proof of, okay, how the Sitecore has provided the layout services packages, and the layout services have some default configurations as well as some rendering content resolvers. Okay, I go into here, the presentation again. Yes, let me close this as well. Yeah. So here, second point is API response structure from the default content resolver. So I just put like a default content resolver. So now the questions comes to mind. Okay, what is the content resolver? So why the content resolver is required? So we have to see very carefully here. So I can say that, okay, layout service, I can say that, okay, API key. So what it finally does, okay, that is the question, right? Okay. So that layout service, what it provides means, okay, so it provides the data, it provides the content, what we stored in the Sitecore side, because the front end side, okay, it doesn't know. So what are the contents are there for the component, right? So somewhere in the Sitecore, we store the content, right? So that content will be transferred through the layout service. The output response is the data of the content in the Sitecore. Okay, so let me go into the URL. Okay, see, this is the URL. This is my Sitecore instance. This is the site/Sitecore and API and layout. So this is the layout and render and JSS. Why I put the JSS here? Okay, we have three renderings. Okay, one minute. Let me show you. For that, okay, how to go the admin dot. Just taking a little bit of time. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. See here. There is a config name called JSS. Okay. So this particular JSS have provided the rendering like default rendering configurations and some of the placeholder resolver. Okay. So skip this. Okay. Because it will be go the out of box concept. Okay. So our thing is, okay, basically it has the rendering content resolver. This rendering content resolver have some types and some source as well, which means, okay, we have likewise, okay, we have default. Okay, so I will show you one thing. Okay, here there is a configuration called the default. There is a configuration called the JSS, which means this layout service have provided. There are two options like, okay, two config like default and JSS. If I put default as well, it will give. If I give JSS as well, it will give. There will be little difference in that. Okay, what is the difference? Okay, so there are some patches which have provided from directly from the layout service type. Sitecore.layoutsRvice.GraphQL.layoutsRvice.GraphQL aware. Okay, I will let me explain this GraphQL thing later. So now we have to focus only on this. So this provides the type from the Sitecore.layoutsRvice. Okay, but this provides the type from Sitecore.JavaScript services. So this is the only difference. Okay, so rest of the things, okay, the rendering things, okay, so we don't know, okay, from the backend side, okay, what we know. So we just click that URL, something happened, something provided, but we have to understand how this is happening. So we always call it as a layout service, but nowhere they just say the rest are GraphQL only. So what does it mean? Okay, the layout service, why we call it as a layout service means Sitecore have provided the packages. That package is the layout service package. That layout service package have some configurations in between. So in the configurations, we have two nodes like default and JSS. These default and JSS have provided the uh, response, okay, by using these configurations only. So this is the one understanding we should it is kind of a basic understanding before we move into the layout service topic. Yeah. So let me go here and again, yeah. There are the two options. Okay, so I already told. Okay, there are the two options to render the layout services. One is the REST and second one is the GraphQL. So whenever I don't know, okay, how many of us done the local setup or whichever application we work on. Okay, so for headless applications, it will ask, okay, the pre-render methods and the what we are going to choose as the framework like REST or GraphQL. Okay, so we have the SSR or SSG. Okay, that is a different concept. That is server side rendering and the static side generation. Depending on the requirement, okay, we use that build time and response time. Okay, but here we have to use, okay, are we going to use the REST or are we going to use the GraphQL? So REST means, okay, it is a representational state transfer. Okay, we all know. GraphQL means, okay, it's a kind of the flexibility query. Okay, that means, okay, graph query in the sense it will not give any business logics or something. Okay, it will just give you the robo copy of the structure of your API, the structure of your template. Okay, whatever you have, it works through the schema. But REST doesn't have the schema. Okay, REST, okay, it works through the methods, right? We know, right? Or get method, post method. So it works through the HTTP methods. Okay, but GraphQL works via the API schema. So next thing is content resolver. Okay, now we pitch into the content resolver. Why this content resolver is required? Okay, in the layout service topic, okay, I already told, okay, we have the two things. One is the REST and the second one is the GraphQL. So let me take an example of the REST. Okay, how the REST thing is working. So there is the content resolver in the sense, okay, there will be some hierarchy, okay, Sitecore has to support and Sitecore has to give us the response in the content resolvers, right? So whenever I explained about the API key. Now I move towards the template creation. Okay. I already have the template because of the time consuming. I'm not going to create any new thing here, but I already show you. Okay, this is a very, very basic template. Okay. I have the demo content template, which is name and the description. Okay. I just have the two fields, name and the description. Okay. Once I created the template, okay, so my requirement is, okay, I wanted to show the name and the description in the component level. Okay. The next thing is I have to create the rendering. Okay, that's my next step. For creating the rendering, we have to go the layouts and the renderings. Okay, we know, right? And I'm using feature, okay, because I'm using the helix principle. That's why I'm creating here. In the feature, I have this demo content. Okay. In this demo content, this is the component name. Okay. Whenever you create the rendering, okay, the rendering should be JSON rendering. So right click, you see insert, and it should be the JSON rendering. Okay. Because all the APIs and layout services will provide the JSON data. So that's why we have to choose the JSON rendering. Whenever you choose the JSON rendering, there will be some fields will be mandatory to choose. Okay. There is a field called the data source template and data source location. Okay, this is optional. Okay, either we can choose or leave it. Okay, it is up to us. But data source template is mandatory. We have to choose this data source template. I already create the demo content template. Okay, I just link the demo content template over here, the data source template, and see, this is the topic I wanted to share it. See, here we have rendering contents resolver. Okay, so this rendering content resolver is the option in the layout service. So now there is some connection between the layout service and rendering content resolver. I already showed we have the content resolver, rendering content resolver, but the rendering content resolver configuration, it has some basic content resolver over here. So this is the default. There are some Sitecore have provided some content resolver on their own, like context item children resolver, context item resolver, data source item children resolver, data source resolver, folder filter resolver, Sitecore forms resolver, which means in the component, what we are going to have it. Finally, we are going to have the content, right? The component, when you create the rendering, okay, you have to create the rendering and you have to create the component by using the template. So whenever you create the component by using the template, so you have to attach that particular component in the rendering. So for example, I'm creating here Okay. This demo content, okay. We have the name and we have the description. Okay. This name is, this template is demo content template. I created this component demo content. Sitecore SUG Pune event is the name and the description is this one. I'm presenting content resolver versus GraphQL. Okay. So let me go here and presentation. In the final layout, I am attaching this component. Which component? I already created the rendering demo content. The demo content component I already attached, and this data source is demo content. Okay. So now I'm going to show the response. So I hope everyone knows this actually. This is item. This is item ID. Item ID is this one. This item ID, demo page item ID, and API key is I already showed. Okay, there is the API key. The API key we have to pass, and the languages and the some optional thing, and the site name. My site name is Sirajudeen JSS app. Okay, once you provided, okay, it gives the data. So this data, this is the demo content, but there will be little difference in the fields. Okay, but I will tell you why. Okay, sorry. Okay, before that, okay, I should remove one thing. Forgot to remove that. Can you go to the demo content? Just sorry, this is my mistake. Okay, let me already have it. Maybe I'll just have it one more time. Okay, so now it is empty. Sorry. Yeah, so now I'm not choosing any rendering content resolvers here, but in this content, okay, so it is giving some data, right? Okay, so this particular API is giving now the data, so the data will be different right now. Okay. See, so now this is the value is fields and then name. The value is Sitecore SUG Pune event. And the description, the value is Mohamed Sirajudeen is presenting content resolver versus GraphQL, which means, okay, this gives the data. This structure is somewhere pre-configured, right? Okay, so how this structure, how this response is coming out. Okay, so the hierarchy. So where this is setting. So this is setting up in one of the default rendering content resolver. In the Sitecore, the default rendering content resolver is the data source rendering content resolver. The data source item, data source resolver is the default content resolver. So this works through this particular resolver. That's why it has some common hierarchy, how the data would be rendering. Okay, so now if I change this to the context item resolver, for example, and save it, and if I go here, and if I do the change, see, this is coming like page title value. Demo content, it's coming like a page title value. So now it is not coming through the data source because we changed the content resolver. But now Sitecore rendering, this particular rendering doesn't know how to render. Okay, so the render we already chosen the rendering content resolver should be from the context. So context means, okay, it's the parent, right? So that the context is the parent object. Okay, so what is the parent? Okay, for this particular item. Okay, sorry, this is definitely throw an error. Yeah. Yes. See, this demo content, okay, this demo content having this name and this description, okay. And now I'm having this demo page. I have attached this demo content component. This rendering, what I mentioned, the rendering content resolver is context content resolver. Context content resolver means, okay, the context of the item is this one. This is the parent item. This is the context of the item. This item has this page title. this demo page. That's why it is showing this data directly. See, this page title, this value. When the moment I change, now my component is not supporting this particular data. That's why it is showing an error. Okay, I will coming to this later. So then you will explain, you will understand in very good manner actually. So now what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to the rendering here in the demo content. I'm going to choose now the data source. Again, I'm going here. Now see, when I choose the data source content resolver, it is coming correctly, which means, see, there is some, are we seeing any difference in the initial rendering and this rendering? No, because that's why I'm saying data source content resolver is the default content resolver. Okay, so now it works as expected. And when I choose any other, it will accordingly react or whatever the things happen. Okay. Example, if I choose data source item content resolver. See, nothing, because there is no children items. So I'm choosing data source item children resolver. For example, my data source item has any children's. Okay, this content will be resolving through the children. But my data source item doesn't have any children. That's why it comes as a empty. So if I choose the data source again, if you go back and if you search, you will see the data. I think, okay, now let me. Okay, so I think, okay, it's working through the GraphQL now. Okay, so this is how this content resolver works, and this is how the Sitecore understand the content resolver. So that's why we have in the rendering side, okay, in the layouts and rendering side, okay, we have the layout service. We should know how this content resolver works. Okay, so this is how, okay, we should know. And the next thing is, okay, let me go. Yeah, so here coming back here, okay, I'll just explain this. Content resolvers will resolve the output response of the component. Okay, component data will be rendered from the data source attached itself, because the component data where it is rendering from the data source attached itself. There are some default rendering content resolvers in the Sitecore. Data source resolver is the default content resolvers. Okay, so now I'm go back to the demo. Okay, I think it's throwing an error because I'll quickly check it. Okay, that's why. Mm. Okay, now I'm going to explain. Okay, so how this rendering works. Okay, so now we have the data. So since I explained already, okay, how the layout services works. Okay, so layout services working through the content resolver. Okay, the content resolver provides the data depending on the selection of the content resolver. So here now I have the basic fields. Okay, this is the name and value. And the name is one field and the description is the second field. Okay, so in my code, okay, I show you. Here I setting up. Okay, already I know as a front-end developer, I know I have the two fields. Okay, I have to construct the object like this. Okay, fields I have the two properties, name and the description. Okay, so once I have the name and description, okay, this is my rendering component div. Okay, in the rendering component div, I have the field name and the description. Okay, let me go here. See now. So this is working as expected right now, because this demo content component is the title. Okay, and the text field is the name, Sitecore SUG Pune event, and the Mohamed Sirajudeen is presenting content resolvers versus GraphQL. Now, the second thing is, okay, even if I go here, so now the questions comes to mind. Okay, so okay, fine. So there are some content resolvers Sitecore already provided. Okay, we know about it. Okay, what is the benefit of using this? So when it is actually necessary to setting up the content resolver, which means, okay, we have to think, okay, this is not going to be the very simple text or something like this. Okay, right? Okay, because this is a demo. Okay, that's why I'm showing it very simple text rendering. But in the real time, okay, we have many businesses involved. So whenever the business is involved, the business logics will be complex. Okay, whenever the application grows, there will be some business logics attached into it. Using that business logic, okay, we have to do some calculations, we have to do some customization in the objects. So that time, really, this content resolver provides some benefit out of it. So let me explain, okay, how. So for example, there will be a lot of banking applications and maybe the trading applications. The every time the business and the every time the calculations based on the figures, it is increasing, right? Okay, some calculations happening. Okay, so we have to understand the business. So in this business point of view, okay, whenever we have something, okay, some logics needs to be adjusted in the backend side. So the service is not providing the data, not only providing the data directly from the Sitecore. Some of the model, some of the object, okay, it will be directly rendering into the site or the application. That is totally fine. But sometimes what happens, okay, we have to adjust some data. We have to do some adjustments in the business logics, right? So that adjustments, when we make it, okay, we have to do some model flexibility. That model flexibility comes from the custom content resolvers. So that time, what we can do is, okay, Sitecore have provided some beautiful things to extend your content resolvers. So that extending the content resolver, what we have to do is, okay, we have to go and create the custom content resolvers. So I'm going to show how the Sitecore is providing that, okay, how we are going to create the custom content resolvers. Okay. But here, okay, now I showed in the rendering side, demo content. In the demo content, we have this many inbuilt rendering content resolvers, right? Okay. Where this is configured, we have the system and we have modules and we have layout services. There is a rendering content resolvers folder. This is the default content resolvers, context item resolver, data source item. From here only, this is getting this data source, the rendering content resolver. Okay, but we can go any one of this. Okay, so just to go this data source resolver, see the type. The type is Sitecore layout service, item rendering, content resolvers, rendering content resolvers. And this is coming from the Sitecore layout service. What I told previously, the Sitecore layout service itself is the package Sitecore provides. Okay, from that layout service, it is tightly built with this content resolver. This is the rendering content resolver. That's why this Sitecore layout service type have provided this content resolvers, rendering content resolver type. So we have to use this rendering content resolver. That's why it is using, and it is using some hierarchy. It is rendering the content depends on this particular resolver. So the code is working through this particular assembly. Okay, so likewise, okay, we can also create one custom content resolver. Before we move into the creating the custom content resolver, okay, we have to set up our solution, right? Okay, so I'm not going to spend more time on setting up the solution because I think, okay, everybody know, okay, how to set the solution. So this is the Helix principal solution I have in my local. We have the environment, we have feature, a foundation project. Okay, so these three packages will be published, okay, through this environment. Okay, but here I have the feature, okay, feature project. In the feature project, I have the content resolvers. Okay, I created one custom content resolver. I will show that. Okay, before that, okay, one thing I would like to show for this is the kind of information I provide in between the session. Okay, we have to choose on for setting up this new get. Okay, we have to create one Richard Helix reference. Okay, we have to choose. Okay, it's not coming into this particular references, but make sure. Okay, so before setting up this solution, okay, make sure, okay, you have to refer the Richard Helix package, NuGet package into it. Otherwise, okay, it will not provide the packages. It will not provide the files in the Helix principles, following principles. Okay. So okay, so here coming back here, okay, the feature one, okay, I have the project. Sorry, I have the three different applications like project, foundation, and the feature. We know these are the layers in the Helix principles. Okay, in the features, okay, I already created the demo content resolver. So before creating the content resolver, I again and again I'm saying, okay, this works through the Sitecore.layout service package, right? So the Sitecore.layout service, okay, first we have to install the Sitecore.layout service NuGet package. Otherwise, we can't do any custom content resolvers. Okay. So I have the reference. I already installed Sitecore.layout service. Okay. Make sure Sitecore.layout service we have to refer. Sorry. I'm creating the content resolver, custom content resolvers here. So the name is the demo content resolver. Okay. So demo content resolver having, and we have to first inherit the renderings content resolver, because this rendering content resolver is the basic content resolver. We have to inherit this one and we have to override the method. Okay, so they already provide the virtual method like a resolve contents. We have to override this method and we can do some model adjustments over here. So likewise here I'm providing demo model. This one I created already one model like demo model. This demo model having two properties, name and description, because my template having these two fields, name and description. That's why I created name and description. I have some adjustments in my demo content resolver. So what is that? Actually, I just provided the adjustment. The name should be coming like this: content custom rendering content resolver, and attached with my Sitecore field name, and the description is the description. Okay, I'm just going to show the difference. Okay, so I already told, okay, we have to publish this. Okay, whenever we publish, okay, it will give you the Helix structured package. Okay, I already published this one, so the publish will be like this. Okay, and the bin, it gives all the DLLs and the PDBs. Okay, PDBs you can ignore, and the DLL is must. Okay, you have to deploy all these DLLs because this is the project DLLs contains the custom code. Okay, so we have to, I already deployed the changes in the my local instance. Okay, I'll show you. This is my local instance bin folder. I have the Sitecore Headless demo, environment, feature, foundation, project. Okay, I already have it. Okay. So I already deployed the change. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, okay, I'm going to do the changes and in the renderings level. Okay, in the renderings level, so I have the demo content, so I'm not going to try the new thing. Yeah, so this is the data source template and rendering content resolver. Here I have the custom content resolvers. Okay, here the demo, I already created demo rendering content resolver. Let me show you That one first. Okay. Layout service, custom content resolver. I have the demo rendering resolver. This demo rendering content resolver having the type Sitecore Headless demo feature content resolvers, demo content resolvers. Okay. And it has the Sitecore Headless demo dot feature. Okay. So let me show you. When I go here, demo content resolver, Sitecore Headless demo feature content resolvers. Okay, feature content resolvers dot demo content resolver. Okay, and this is coming from the namespace Sitecore Headless demo dot feature. Okay, so I already provided this. So this one I created. How to create this? Okay, this is simple. Right click, insert and rendering content resolver. So when you click this, okay, it will create you the new content resolver, and you have to give the respective types to hit your custom code actually. Here I come here. Okay, this is my rendering demo content. In the demo content, now I'm going to choose the rendering content resolver, custom content rendering resolvers folder. Here I'm going to choose this demo rendering content resolver. So I'm going to save this. Okay, so once I save this, let me come again. Okay, so I done this. Now I set it up. Rendering content resolver is my custom content resolver. Okay. Now coming back here, the response. Okay. I'm just going to see. Now this is the field's name. Name is coming like custom rendering content resolver and Sitecore SCG Pune event. Okay. Whatever I just did the adjustment. This is how previously I explained, right? The business point of view, I just now did some very simple string adjustment. But in the real time scenario, we can do anything. Okay, we can get any data from the third party service. We can do some adjustments in the data. It's not it's not like, okay, the data is directly coming from the Sitecore all the time. So that is the basic idea why this content resolver is needed. So the people will work in the Sitecore Headless application, they will definitely understand. But when we start from the basic, okay, we don't know why this is required. So Sitecore already provided a data source. Why it is required? This is for the model flexibility. So now the field is coming like custom rendering content resolver and the description. Okay. Now I have to go. If I go here, see, nothing is coming because the demo content component, because the structure got changed. But once I did some adjustment in the backend side, in the coding side, I have to do some adjustment in the front end side. That is called the refactoring, right? Now I'm coming back here. I just turn on this. Sorry, this one should be. Take this. Okay, now this is my rendering content resolver fields. Okay, now my field is directly having the name, that is a string, and the description, that is also string. Okay, now I have the rendering content resolver. So I have the h1 props field dot name. Okay, so now if I go here, okay, sorry, something. Oh, see now. Now the data is coming, but no difference in the data, but difference in the process. Previously, what I showed, so I was showing from the default content resolver, which is inbuilt content resolver by the Sitecore. The Sitecore have provided the data directly. I showed that. Now I have written custom content resolver in the coding side. And I just taken the assembly. I just deployed that assembly. I created the custom content resolver in the Sitecore. I just mapped that assembly into it. Now the data is coming differently. The structure got changed. Now I just made the structure in the front end side, that is the fields name and description and rendering content resolver. It works fine. This is how the business works. So this is how the application works. So not all the time we have to expect the same level of data or constant data or static data. So the model will be very flexible. And whenever we wanted to do, we have to do some model adjustments. That time this custom content resolver helps a lot. Whenever you go for any of the bigger applications, okay, the people will be definitely creating that custom content resolver to achieve their goals and achieve their business requirements. So not all the time data will be static. This is how, okay, I would like the people to understand this concept through how the Sitecore works and how the layout service works. Layout service works anyway. I showed the proof that it works through the content resolver. It works through the rendering configuration. So rendering content resolver have some default structure into it. So we have to break the default structure. How to break? And we have to create the custom rendering content resolver and we can apply it. This is the one way. Okay. So next, the second one is the change in process, right? Okay. It's a kind of what to say? It's a kind of life changing or turning point of the moment. Okay. Now I'm coming back to that actually. So custom content resolver, we already saw it. Okay, I just read it. We can extend the content resolver to write the custom business logics. Sitecore.layout service package is required to write the custom rendering content resolver. Advantages of writing custom rendering resolvers to do the complex model rendering. All right. Okay. So now I'm coming back to here actually GraphQL. So now I explained about the REST. I explained about the layout service. I explained about the content resolvers and custom content resolver. So what is this GraphQL? When it is required? So why the GraphQL thing Sitecore provides? So I'll tell you, because whenever we write the custom content resolver, where we are going to deploy the changes, we are deploying the changes in the content delivery, right? So anyway, the content delivery environment is going to provide the data for the for the custom business logics and all. Because I have written the .NET code, I have written the I have deployed the .NET DLL somewhere. So content delivery environment is fine, but in my local, okay, I have provided from the CM. But ultimately, whenever we go to the production, so we have to deploy the changes in the content delivery. But in future, just to think about it, we are now in the mode of, okay, XM cloud operations. So now everything is changing. The XM cloud, there is no CD servers. So there is a concept called experience set schema. Experience set schema will work through only the snapshot of the content management. So it's kind of, okay, sorry, the master database. So whatever we have in the master database, okay, and the live database, okay, it is kind of working through the snapshots. There is no content delivery in future. So that time, okay, what will happen? So how the XM cloud will respond? So that's why Sitecore already had the strategy to create the alternative options. Okay. REST and the GraphQL. GraphQL is a very fast and flexible. And also we can't do the business logics into it. So that is the one thing. But business logics is, okay, so we have option as well. Okay, I'll tell you later. But let me focus on the GraphQL implementation now. See, GraphQL is the query language that allows you to retrieve data from an API in more efficient and flexible way. Okay, so how this GraphQL works? GraphQL itself is the separate one. Okay, it's not a combination of a Sitecore or something. Okay, it's not a Sitecore product. GraphQL, the term. Okay, so sorry, GraphQL, the thing came from the modern world. Okay, it's a different and a separate framework API. Okay, so it supports React, Next.js, and whichever the modern UI frameworks there. Okay, so it supports it. That's why Sitecore already chosen this strategy. We are going to use anyway the modern UI frameworks like Next.js, React. That's why we have to provide some support for the GraphQLs as well. That's why Sitecore have provided the GraphQL package alone. So I'll show you that. The bin, we have the Sitecore. This is the instance. In this instance, okay, you can see the app config, the Sitecore. We have the site services.graphql. We have the Sitecore.graphql. So there are the two things, okay, we already in place. Okay, so here, what is happening? I'll tell you. The Sitecore GraphQL, okay, Sitecore supports the GraphQL, which means in the rendering side, Sitecore have provided some GraphQL options as well. There are the two modes. One is the integrated mode and second one is the connected mode. Okay, don't confuse with that disconnected and connected here. This is specifically for GraphQL. GraphQL itself, Sitecore provides two mode. One is the integrated mode and second one is the connected mode. I'm going to show this session, okay, only the integrated mode, not the connected mode. I don't have the sample demo for it. So what is the integrated mode in the GraphQL? Integrated mode is GraphQL will reside in the Sitecore side itself, okay, somewhere. So it works through that particular structure. So connected mode GraphQL means we have to keep all our GraphQL in the front end side itself. So from the front end, it works, which means, okay, when the front end people start writing the GraphQL in the front end itself, once they understand the logic of the Sitecore, how it works, okay, then it will keep in the front end side itself. That is the connected mode GraphQL. Integrated mode is the Sitecore will, the rendering will have that GraphQL. I will show you where. Now I'm going back here. This is again the demo content. Okay, in the demo content, we have the field called the GraphQL. In the GraphQL, we have the component GraphQL query. Okay, here we are going to have whatever the GraphQL it works. Okay, so for the GraphQL, the Sitecore have provided the playground as well. Let me open that. This is the edge Sitecore API Graph Edge UI. Okay, and we have to give the API key. So API key is the unique key. Okay, we have to give that. Okay, once we give, this will come. Okay, so now this is the structure. This is the schema. How this is working? I already told, right? Okay, this GraphQL is working through the schema. Where the schema stores. Sitecore itself have stored the schema. Okay, see here. There is the schema. It has all the necessary schema files for to support the GraphQL. This is how it works. Okay, because this is coming from the default, maybe the vanilla instance. Okay, so likewise, okay, when I created the template, okay, I will show you. This is a very simple. There are three things. Okay, one is the context and second one is the language and third one is the data source. There are the three properties GraphQL supports in the Sitecore. So results item, you have to pass what is the item. You have to pass either the ID or the path and the language. Okay, so we can pass it. Okay, now I'm just giving the data source name. The data source is actually this path, right? Okay, 1 minute. Let me show that. Demo page components, demo content 063. See, start from 063 and 466. Okay, I wanted the data from here. Okay, what data I wanted actually? I wanted this actually this item using this demo content template. Okay, and in this template, I have the two fields. One is the name and second one is the description. I want this name and the description. Okay, when I click this, it provides the data. Data, results, name, okay, value and description. Okay, you see one thing here. When I start using this, okay, when I start using this, the structure got changed again. The structure got changed means how the structure changed. Okay, previously it comes through the field. Okay, now it comes through data. And I just provided this. Okay, if I'm not providing this, results also will work. Okay, this is the optional attribute. Okay, so data results, this works through like this. Okay, the moment the integrated mode is, okay, when I go back to the rendering in the GraphQL, I'm just going to, I already have this query. Okay, this query is nothing. Okay, whatever the query I written in the playground, the same query. Okay, but here I'm just providing the data dynamically. This is the data source. This is the language. The item, I'm just passing this data source and passing the language. Okay, this is the demo content template. Rest are all same. Okay, the moment I save this, okay, Now going back here, I just refresh this and coming back here. Okay, sorry, I have to choose, just remove this. Okay, because this is not required right now, because now we move to the GraphQL. Okay, so when I go here, come here, see, now the data is coming, fields, data, results, name. The structure got changed. Now I'm going, sorry, now I am going back to the demo page. In the demo page, if I see the data gone because the structure got changed. Now I call front-end developers. Okay, come here. Okay, so I just changed my strategy. Okay, I just moved to the GraphQL. So you have to work for the refactoring. So they started refactoring. They just provided the hierarchy of the object, fields, data, results, name, and the description. Okay, so now I have to change this as well. Fields dot data dot results. Sorry, not here. This is rendering under the server. Okay, we have to set the data dot results dot name. Same data dot results dot description. Now I am coming back here. See, now it is coming because it supports the GraphQL. The hierarchy got changed. I got refactored. So it works through the integrated mode. I told, right? Okay, the integrated mode is okay. We are keeping this particular query in the Sitecore rendering itself. Okay, the moment you just replace uh, this particular one to the front end means okay, front end we can create .graph file and we can keep all the GraphQLs and we can use that as well. That is the connected mode GraphQL. So we can use that way as well. This is the integrated mode GraphQL. That is the connected mode GraphQL. So once we start using this, okay, what is going to happen? I'll tell you. Okay, in future as well, in XM Cloud, it supports the GraphQL. So it doesn't support custom content resolver because there is no CD server. So it supports GraphQL. And also one more thing, we can think like this actually. The custom content resolver having all the business logics of where it will reside. First of all, we have to think, okay, so can we do all the data source to move on top of the head of the data source or somewhere. So which means, okay, if we keep this, okay, for example, if we keep the data source here and maybe kind of the chain, okay, so the data source will contain data source will contain other data source like that. If we do like that, okay, it will go the children way. So it supports ultimately the data source with the children. Likewise, okay, we can move our all our business logics and all our strategy, but till the time, okay, for example, whenever the external service provides some business logics, custom business logic or complex business logics, definitely we should move that particular code in future to the front end only. Front end in Next.js, we have to handle that type of a code. Whichever business logic we have written in the .NET side, we have to override that things into the front end side itself. This is how it is going to work actually. So this is the thing, okay, I wanted to show. Okay, there are some advantages as well. The custom content resolver, model response flexibility, and handling complex business logic. These are the advantage. But at the same time, the disadvantage is there. Need to spend more time on the unit testing part because whenever you start writing any business logic, custom business logics or complex business logic, definitely unit testing coming into the part. So GraphQL means, okay, it works through directly the schema and it works directly through it. And if you write any business logics into it out of the box, okay, we can write it in the Next.js side. So this is the problem occurring during XM Cloud migration since there is no CD server at all. That's the thing. Okay, I just wanted to show, okay, what is these two and what is the difference out of it and how the response will be different. What are all the challenges we may face when we use the content custom content resolver and the GraphQL. So just wanted to say that, okay. Sorry, I didn't create any thank you, but thank you thing. Okay, let me create here. Sorry. So thank you for the opportunity, SUG Pune. Okay, just wanted to show these custom content resolvers and the GraphQL. So that's it. I think, okay, I have done in the right time, actually, 11 o'clock now. Thank you so much, guys, for the opportunity. And thank you, Rohan. Thank you, Vinod, for organizing this. And do you have any questions? And you can ask. Okay, I can reply on that.
I have one question. This is Puneet this side.
Sorry.
This is Puneet this side. I have one small little question that when you write your actually I have been after into putting up some GraphQL queries and exposing content with GraphQL.
Mhm.
So I just one problem with my layout service is that whenever we try to give a data source, right? When
Mhm.
you run the query, when you run the query on the UI part, it gives
Okay.
you the child. It gave you the child elements. So the query started working fine. But when we imposed it on the what you call the layout service
Mhm.
content resolver, then there is an issue coming that is saying that fragment is spread over this data source and not some sort of issue like this with respect to fragments. So
Fragments.
does
Okay.
does it a problem? Is it a problem of having multiple of displaying multiple childs of a single data source on in a layout service, or it can point to a single data only?
But yeah, so to my understanding, to be honest, okay, I know some limitations in the data source child items in the GraphQL. That I know actually, because we have one, I think, okay, one configurations in place for the GraphQL supports all the sub child elements, right? Okay, maybe the deep rendering. Okay, sometimes it may break. Okay, because the limit of the deep limit. Okay, it crossed. So for that, okay, we have to change that deep limit configuration. I don't know exactly where it is. So if I
That
understand
is
your question like that, okay,
that is in the
maybe.
that is in
Mhm.
the GraphQL config, and its maximum deep limit is 15. You need to move it to that is different. That is different thing. But I am saying just one level child. Say you have a data source of country folder, and in that folder you have 10 countries, right? So
Hmm.
when you write a GraphQL query passing in a data source and a language version which you did in your GraphQL, it gives you the child list of all the IDs and name of the all the childs that are there below the country folder, right? But when
Hmm.
you put the same GraphQL query in your content resolver in a rendering, in a JSON rendering, and instead of putting a custom resolver, you put in a GraphQL query over there. So when the
Yeah.
layout service is, it is giving the result, it is giving, but at the point when the component gets displayed, the result set is giving error of saying the fragments is spread over some of on the data source, some sort of error like this only.
Yeah,
So
I
just
think.
wanted
Yeah, maybe
or
I
something like
think I wanted to see the GraphQL query and the structure you created. Maybe we can connect offline to see that actually, because maybe so, yeah, something once I see that GraphQL query, then I will definitely understand, because I'm currently working on multiple GraphQL queries, and now I am getting very familiar with the GraphQL query, and we are also doing nested GraphQL queries as well. So it works fine for me. Maybe I wanted to see that actually. Maybe then I would understand. Okay, so
so.
what is your problem?
So how can we connect with respect to this?
Yeah, maybe you can connect with me on the LinkedIn. Okay, maybe I'll see that.
Sure,
Maybe.
I'll try to share you the things on LinkedIn.
Sure, sure, definitely. Yeah, your good name?
Thank. This is Puneet Mishra from Noida.
Okay, Puneet Misra. Okay, thank you, Puneet. Okay, I'll connect with you. Yeah,
Sure, 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 sure.
yeah. Any other questions?
Yep. Uh, Thanks, Puneet, and thanks, Siraj. So, yeah, couple of questions, like some questions we can see on the chat.
Oh, okay, in the chat window, right? Okay, sorry, I didn't
Yeah.
see that.
Oh, you can see that. Okay, maybe you can go.
Oh, okay. There are many questions. Okay. Can we override the existing layout resolver to customize it? Existing layout resolver in the sense, yeah, customize it means, okay, customize it using the GraphQL or what? Because we can do that, but until or unless, okay, how we have to see the business logics, how it fit. So we can definitely change it to the GraphQL once we move to the head of the data source, and we can get all the values in the nested GraphQLs. And if we have still any adjustments in the model, then we have to definitely take care of using the Next.js or the front end. And creating native mobile apps, which one should we use, layout resolver or native mobile apps? Which one we should use, layout resolver or GraphQL queries? Okay, we need to think that actually. GraphQL is fast, I could say. At the same time, okay, for creating native mobile apps, maybe in future, okay, we have to see our things, okay, how our application is going to be in the future. Okay, are we plan for XM cloud or something? Definitely we have to switch it to the GraphQL. So layout as a content resolver is actually going to vanish, I could say that, because there are no CD service logics out of it. As layout services can be easily seen in browser developer tools. So how to restricted layout services call so that only client websites should call it and not by any other website? We- Okay, no, no. So this one we can, it's not a kind of thing here. Okay, we can do any restrictions through the Azure front end or wherever we deploy the things. Okay, so maybe we can do like that. I don't know. So we can do through the proxy, and we can do, we're still doing actually. So layered service is not applicable to everyone or something. Okay, so we can definitely restrict, but not from the Sitecore side. Okay, maybe in the Azure proxy side itself. Okay, we can do that. How does caching differ between content resolver and GraphQL in Sitecore headless? Okay, to be honest, okay, I never what to say, yeah, involved in such caching thing involvement. Okay, maybe this one I don't have the straight answer. Maybe this is a good question. Okay, I could see, and um, yeah, I can see that actually. So I never actually did any evaluation on this actually. Mostly layout services and GraphQL returning static data. How can we cache its output? So this is again the cache. Okay, the normal cache we know, okay, how it works. And so now we have in the Next.js, okay, we have a cache. Okay, so whenever so Next.js itself is taking care of it actually. But I don't know, okay, how this is happening with the layout service.